Hi everyone, it's Sunday, February 19th, time for another HideNet Weekend Review. I'm Vera Jordick. Starting with the U.S. market, Packer steer prices were mostly steady after the previous week's dollar increase. Now, sellers did push for higher prices, but buyers were not on board with the increases and bids pretty much disappeared when countered. But, there was the odd increase here and there. Looking at heavy Texas steers, prices were steady with sales at 26 to as much as $27.50 for 64-66 pound selections. For automotive customers, heavy native steer prices have corrected upward given the rising price of butts. And meanwhile, in the cow sector, Holstein cows and steers are still firm, but increases are difficult to get. With regard to the combined export sales, they were up significantly. For the week ending February 9th, they were up by more than 50% at 762,600. Combined shipments were 610,200, and that's down just 1% from the week before. Estimated slaughter for the week ending February 18th was 627,000, and that's just 1 or 2% lower than last week. And it could be the start of slaughter trending downward thanks to the tighter supply this year. In fact, Saturday slaughter has almost disappeared at this point. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo says that the sector is ready for Lineapelle this week. And in fact, we're going to be providing daily updates on the fair as we do every year, so keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, he says there are plenty of tensions in the market heading into the fair, so we'll have to see if sellers prevail in their hope for higher prices. In the UK and Ireland, January slaughter was high, and February is expected to go the same way too. So prices in the UK are all the same. Prices are a little bit softer at 93 to 98 cents per kilo in euros. Looking at European bulls, offer prices are still on the rise, and negotiations at the fair are expected to be tough. Still, northern German bulls are at €1.15 to €1.20 per kilo for the 40-plus kilo selections, and southern hinds were also steady in the days ahead of the fair. With regard to European cows, asking prices are still on the rise, but again, no new contracts were signed last week. And with regard to veal, the prices continue to get steeper. In his analysis, Andrea takes a closer look at the offers and the sales levels in Asia, as well as what's likely to happen at the fair this week. And as I said, look for Andrea's daily reports from the fair this week. From South America, editor Ronald Guiel says that raw material prices went up just 3 cents this week and that fresh hides are selling at $1.25 per kilo. The reference price of TR1 was unchanged at 64 cents per square foot. This week is expected to be a bit quiet because until Wednesday, they are celebrating Carnival in Brazil. Most other Latin origins are resisting price pressures and were again stable, except for Argentina, that is. And in other news from Brazil, footwear exports to the EU offset other declines in exports, but then the 100% jump in imports last year is really worrying the Brazilian footwear industry. With regard to beef exports, Brazil's January totals were higher in volume and value, and the new Brazilian footwear fair that's set for November is already 85% full. From elsewhere in Latin America, Argentina's government is looking at possibly dropping the duties on salted hide exports. Chile's online sales dropped by almost 1/3 in the fourth quarter of last year. In Colombia, Queiroz Vélez is looking to upcycle more waste products from their production. Ecuador has signed a trade agreement with China protecting the domestic footwear industry. In Mexico, the manufacturing sector employment grew in December. And last but not least, in Uruguay, leather exports plummeted 26% in January. That is all we have for this week. Until next week, good night from HideNet.